All right. Him. So, this headline says New Year, New Disappointment. Lawsuit filed against developers. These would be the developers of the Orchards, which is described in this article as a sprawling housing project in Old Harbour, St. Catherine, saying they could face legal action from at least one purchaser, angry purchaser, after they have failed to keep a public commitment to deliver the remaining 200 plus units being constructed in phase 1 last month. Apparently there are other purchasers who are contemplating whether to seek the intervention of the Prime Minister, who has made the delivery of housing solutions a priority of his administration. This development apparently was first announced in 2016. Was supposed to be a complex that would include a total of 782 bedroom bungalows to be constructed over 3 phases on approximately 140 acres of decommissioned sugar lands. Construction began the following year, which would be 2017, but apparently there have been several delays, and some purchasers are complaining that several dates have come and gone when they were told that they would be able to move into their units.
Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah.
They said last month the company that manages the development acknowledged the purchasers have a right to complain because of numerous delays with phase 1. At that time, 30 purchasers had already moved into their homes, and he expected the remaining 200 plus units in phase 1 to be delivered by the end of December, but now looking at January 6th.
Correct.
And understandably so. I mean, there's one person who says they've been waiting since April 2017. She resigned her job overseas, returned to Jamaica after securing a mortgage to purchase the unit, and she still hasn't been able to move in. They're expected to do 780 bungalows, by the way.
$10.75 million
that
she's paid. So she says she's retained an attorney. She's received information from the real estate board about what she needs to do, and she's awaiting the advice of her lawyer before they proceed. An interesting thing I read here is that the contract, they say, there is no delivery date in the contract itself. The contract only speaks to a, quote, reasonable time.
Yeah,
so who defines what is...
2017 to now. Well, I guess that's what the lawsuit is going to determine, but she says she's living out of suitcases and boxes. She has her furniture because she shipped everything down to Jamaica. But if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be moving, it means even lease agreements that you would have expressed to your landlord that I'm not going to be here come December. And they probably are looking or have found someone to replace you.
Crazy.
It's a thing, once you set a deadline for something, work
Take
with
out
it.
your mortgage deal, yeah?
Just work with it. Whatever it is, work with the deadline. Work with it. So, I hope this is resolved soon. It's 200 homes. That's 100, over 150 people that December thought they lived somewhere they don't. So this is something very... And then, you don't want to rush the project and then they move in. And then there are issues when they move in because the work was rushed.
Yeah, we've heard about some of those as well.
Man.
All right, this one is a very, very sad story. When was it? New Year's Day?
Last week, Tuesday, New Year's Eve.
So detectives who are assigned to the Manchester Police Division, they've charged a 30-year-old man following the shooting death of a woman at a food store on South Racecourse in Mandeville last week, Tuesday. 24-year-old Chantel White, otherwise called Shan, who was an inventory clerk of Wilburn Street, was shot several times about 6:15 inside the lunchroom of an establishment. Charged with murder, illegal possession of firearm and ammunition is Andre Bromfield of New Green District in the parish. This is not a great way to start the new year.
No. Let this be the year that this type well, all types of violence, but
Such a
particularly
beautiful young lady.
this violence against women and children. Let me tell you something. I am sure anyone who is now speaking to this gentleman, he will tell them it wasn't worth it. Not where he may be heading. No.
And it really is just a matter of how we deal with anger.
Yes.
How we deal with anger and dispute resolution.
Yes.
We just get too heated too fast.
Too heated too
Do
fast.
something in the moment and then you cannot take it back, and then the rest of your life is
It's
changed.
gone. And this belief that you own someone. Gentlemen, there are 2.7 plus people in Jamaica.
Million people.
At least 50% are women. And I like to tell people, Jamaica might look like it's small, but we're big enough. So there is no woman that you should feel you have to take them life. Move on. Move on. Move on. Trust me, move on. Move on. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Are we going further afield now?
Boy, afraid to go further afield. You should see the photos. Iran's supreme leader wept yesterday over the casket, and there are the images.
Then that's just a portion of the
The
crew.
casket of a top general killed in a U.S. airstrike. The supreme leader's prayers joining the wails of mourners who flooded the streets of Tehran, demanding retaliation against America for a slaying that's drastically raised tensions across the Middle East. This was a funeral for Revolutionary Guard General Qasim Soleimani. Drew a crowd, and you can see that, estimated to be in the millions in the Iranian capital. Wow.
Yeah.
Independent estimate says at least 1 million, and the throngs were visible on satellite images. They later brought his remains and those of the others to Iran's holy city, turning out another massive crowd. The outpouring of grief was an unprecedented honor for a man viewed by Iranians as a national hero for his work leading the Guards Expeditionary Quds Force. Well, the U.S. blames him for the killing of American troops in Iraq and are plotting new attacks just before his death in a drone strike at Baghdad's airport. They say he also led forces in Syria, backing President Bashar Assad in a long war. His slaying has already pushed Tehran, by the way, to abandon the remaining limits of its 2015 nuclear deal with world powers as his successor and others vow to take revenge. I don't know, it's like every time something comes up and we say, oh, please let there not be a war, and then there's some kind of intervention, and we say, okay,
Something else.
there's no war. Then something else happens, and everybody is, and troops, you can see troops quietly being deployed, and everybody is mentally getting themselves ready for a possible, I pray not. A part of what concerns me, Sim, is that the other world leaders have seemingly said,
they're gone very quiet. They're hands off. We don't have anything to do with this one. We don't want to be associated with this one.
They've seemingly said, this one kind of tricky, and we are not saying it was a good thing or a bad thing. We are just saying,
I have nothing to say.
we don't want to get involved. It just seems that way. Oh, Lord.
Frightening.
Let's hope for the best.
All
Hope for the
right.
best.